What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on Fantasy Pros with a 10-team full PPR mock where we will be selecting 5th overall. Our roster, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and then 5 bench spots. But that's pretty much it. So let's kick this thing off. And while we wait, a quick reminder, if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter, X at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comments, your thoughts, along with any questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. But with that said, let's take a look at what has transpired so far. We have got the first 4 picks in. They are as follows: Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Devon Achane at the 103 spot, big time surprise, and then Justin Jefferson at the 104. Now, look, yes, with Fantasy Pros, there's some built-in variability. So are you going to see Achane being selected as the 2nd overall running back and 3rd overall? I would say 99 times out of 100, you will not. Do I personally have him ranked very highly? I do. So do I have a huge issue with him going 3rd overall here? Not necessarily. But I did want to point it out nonetheless that is an atypical selection. Then Justin Jefferson goes at the 104. Now, in my personal opinion, this being a 10-team league, I think that we're going to have a much better chance, just to pull up the cheat sheet here, to land one of these, big-time difference makers at the running back position, up to from Gibbs to Derrick Henry in the 2nd round, still, if we go with the wide receiver in the 1st. So, I think it's just deeper at the tier, the upper echelon, top 5 upside running backs compared to the top 5 upside wide receivers when you get to the middle of the 2nd round. With that being the case, I'm going to look at a wide receiver here. I think whichever way you go at wide receiver, whether it's a CD, whether it's a Malik Neighbors, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nacua, I think these would probably be the guys that are up for consideration here. I'm going to go personally with maybe a little bit of a bold pick, but let's go with Malik Neighbors here. Don't get me wrong, I've got CeeDee Lamb ranked highly as well. I just feel like recently I did a CeeDee Lamb mock where, I went with him as one of our first selections. So just, switching it up a little bit and showing love to some of these other guys that I also have ranked highly and or close together. So let's see if our, prediction panned out the way we expected. So after we went Neighbors, it was CeeDee Lamb, then Puka, then Saquon, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra, and a run on those wide receivers. So it did pan out. Nico Collins, Brian Thomas, Drake London, Ladd McConkey, and then Ashton Genty. So that puts us in a position here to be able to select either a Christian McCaffrey and or a Derrick Henry. Now, do we want to be a little bit riskier here? Do we want to be a little bit safer? That's what it comes down to. Let's play it a little bit safer, right? I'll go with Derrick Henry, and I realize that McCaffrey has the much higher upside, but Henry may be, a little bit safer due to the McCaffrey long injury history. But again, I'd be fine with Christian McCaffrey completely. I'd be fine with Christian McCaffrey in the 1st round, and just a matter of how you surround him afterwards on your roster. Now, let's see what took place here in the 2nd round. After we went Derrick Henry, it was A.J. Brown, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. McCaffrey at the almost end of the 2nd is great value. Brock Bowers, Garrett Wilson, Trey McBride, Tyreek, and Josh Jacobs. So, again, looking at our next best available group of players, what do I think can happen? I mean, Jonathan Taylor is ranked lower than a Chase Brown. I personally really like Chase Brown due to the PPR upside. We saw what he did last year when it was just him, no Zach Moss. Wide receivers here, there's no wide receivers that I'm dying to draft. So with that being the case, I'm going to go with Chase Brown. And if somehow Jonathan Taylor gets back to us in the, 4th round, then perfect. I would be very, very happy with that. But let's go Chase Brown here first. Ooh, and we do get our wish. So this is interesting, but again, I will look at the draft board first. We had Chase Brown, then it was Rashee Rice. I think you can make an argument if that's too early for Rice. T. Higgins, Terry, Devontae Adams, Breece Hall. Again, Breece Hall being selected before a Jonathan Taylor is wild to me. Alvin Kamara, Bucky Irving. Like, I understand Kamara due to the PPR upside, but there's some question marks there again due to the quarterback situation. Bucky Irving, it seems like dropping that far is a pretty good steal. George Kittle, then the two quarterbacks in Jane Daniels and Josh Allen. Here, I could go with a quarterback if I wanted to, like Lamar Jackson. Pretty good value, but I think that we can potentially, let me see the quarterbacks. I was going to say maybe we have a chance of landing Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts in the next round. Here, instead, we go with another upper echelon running back in a Jonathan Taylor. And, we just feel good about our running back position. And I think that's the way that I am leaning. Again, it's maybe a little bit tempting, but I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor. And let us see if the quarterback run did in fact take place. I think we did see it, yeah. So it was Lamar being selected immediately afterwards, then James Cook, then DJ Moore, Kyron Williams. Great value there for Kyron, Kenneth, Jalen Hurts, Mike Evans, Chuba Hubbard. Now here, again, I could go with a Joe Burrow, but I think by far and away the wide receiver that I'm most excited about would be Marvin Harrison, and I think it's really good value. I think it's a need. So let's get both of those sophomore wide receivers on the squad. And if Joe Burrow is available to me in this next round, I will draft him there. And wouldn't you know it, he is. But let's see why that was the case. Because after Marvin Harrison, Joe Mixon, James Conner, Jamison Williams, Courtland Sutton, TJ Hawkinson, DK Metcalf. I would have been tempted into a DK Metcalf in the 6th round if he fell to us. Jonnu Smith, I think that's a little bit early for him. David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Xavier Worthy. I don't necessarily think Jonnu Smith is going to duplicate the season he had last year. Again, looking at the cheat sheet here, make sure that we are not missing anybody. I think Joe Burrow probably is the way that I lean. We need a quarterback. I have the stack with him and Chase Brown, so I feel good about that. If we ask the question, should we have drafted, Lamar Jackson instead of, Jonathan Taylor, right? And so we could have had Lamar and then whatever running. No, I mean, I feel good about that decision. So I really like our trio of running backs. I like our quarterback. So I think we're in a good spot, right? Then after the Joe Burrow selection, Zay Flowers, Laporta. If we somehow had gotten Laporta in the 7th round, I would have been very, very happy with that. Then Olavio, Marion Hampton, Patrick Mahomes, DeAndre Swift, Baker, and George Pickens. So now, we only have 2 wide receivers. But I'm looking at the names here. RJ Harvey is tempting in terms of upside. I don't know if he'll still be there for us in the next round. If we were to go just with high upside guys, you've got the injury situation maybe with Chris Godwin, but when he's available, he produces. Let's go with Chris Godwin here. We need to add another wide receiver. And I think he will be a little bit more consistent than like a Devonta Smith, for example. That's always the knock with somebody like Devonta Smith. He can blow up for 2 games in a row, and then he kind of disappears for 4 or 5. So go with Godwin, and let's see if RJ Harvey is still there or not. He probably won't be. Yeah, so we missed out on him by a little bit, but that's all right. Like I said before, when you start out with 3 running backs that are Henry, Chase Brown, and Jonathan Taylor, while I do like RJ Harvey, it is not the end of the world that we do not land him. After Chris Godwin, it was Pacheco, Jacoby Myers, Bo Nix, Travion Henderson, Jared Goff, Quinshon Judkins, Dak, RJ Harvey, Devonta Smith, and Jalen Waddle. So again, looking at our cheat sheet to remind us who is there, I'm looking at names like Jerry Jeudy. I'm looking at names like Roma Dunze. We still don't have a tight end, but, I think that we are still going to be fine. Let me take a look at who has a tight end after us here if we need to force that selection. Yes. This person doesn't have a tight end. I doubt they're going to draft David Njoku. I like Njoku personally with, a Flacco there as a starting quarterback. So maybe here I go with a Jerry Jeudy or a Jordan Addison. Let's go with Jordan Addison at wide receiver, number 2 there in Minnesota. He's been trending upwards, for a while. So now, again, how many more tight ends are going to go here? We don't have one. They don't. So there's a chance that, that somebody like a David Njoku is drafted. Let's just nab him up right now. I don't mind doing that. So yeah, I'm going to go with Njoku. And then, there was a run on tight end, so I'm glad we did that. Let's see. So after Njoku, Kelsey, Tucker Kraft, Tyrone Tracy, Jalen Warren, bunch of running backs. Najee, Javonte, Brian Robinson, Zach Charbonnet, Travis Etienne, and Tajay Spears. I think there's a wide receiver here that I still really like, and that is Rome Odunze. So I will go in that direction and continue to add weapons on the bench. We've got 2 more selections to make, and I think we will be in a good spot. I really like this team. I think getting Jordan Mason is intriguing. If Aaron Jones gets hurt, I kind of like that. So let's go ahead and do that. And then one last pick. Let's see who it will be. Maybe I go with a tight end sleeper that I like, or another wide receiver if the value is great. Deebo Samuel is intriguing. If something happens to Terry McLaurin, let's just go there. So let's wrap up the squad. I'm curious to see the grade we get. I really like this team. C+, no chance in hell. Joe Burrow, top 5 guy. Derrick Henry, Chase Brown, Jonathan Taylor, all top 10 talents. Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison. I love that. Guys, I'm telling you, I think this is an A-level draft. But hey, let me know whether you agree, disagree. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at All Day Pigskin to continue interacting with us there. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.